So not long after that, I was introduced to this encounter phenomenon, which when I first heard about somebody who took this seriously, I thought this person must be quite mad, and he's dealing with a new form of psychosis, no matter how much my consciousness had been opened by the Graf experience. However, when I began to work with these individuals, and I never went public to admit that I was doing this for about 2 years, but after I'd seen about 50 of them, I realized that I could not explain this psychiatrically or by any psychosocial trend in the culture or anything of that kind. These were people who didn't know each other, who had everything to lose, and who were confessing, in a sense, to whomever they could trust to tell that they had had encounters with strange humanoid beings that had entered into their lives in a powerful and incontrovertible way. So I thought this was pretty important and quite exciting. And people would ask me, well, why are you interested in that? And I'd say, how could you not be interested in that? This is something of huge significance. And so I finally, in 1994, I published a book which was mainly a case study of 13 experiences in which I did some speculation about what this might mean. And I thought, naively, that my colleagues at Harvard would think this was a great advance in knowledge. But that is not the way it was received. What happened was that a committee was appointed by the dean of the medical school to investigate what I was up to. And what this was about, no charges were made. It was kind of Kafka-like, but this was really about was revealed when the president's lawyer, this is how serious this got, said to my lawyer, well, what do you think if it's like for the dean of the medical school to see one of his professors on Oprah Winfrey saying that little green men are taking people into spaceships? Well, I was on Oprah, but I, of course, never spoke about little green men, but I was considering the possibility that people were really being taken into spaceships. And I don't know if they're physically, literally being taken into spaceships, but something very significant had happened to these individuals.
Greetings and welcome to Ancient Library. This is Lost Files, Episode 4, Choosing Curiosity over Integrity, the story of John E. Mack. A quick presentation about and tribute to John E. Mack. This video serves for a quick briefing on his work and the reason why he was so valuable for the field of ufology, and why his work will be a timeless piece of data embedded in the field, especially regarding the alien abduction subsection of ufology. So who is John E. Mack? So John Edward Mack was born on October 4, 1929 in New York City, and to make things clear at the beginning, I'm not gonna be boring and will throw around many more numbers or years the guy has achieved something, because if I do that, this video would be too long, very boring, and would miss the mark completely. I can add that he was born into an upper-class academic family and was pursuing a medical degree in different universities, and ended up to be the head of Department of Psychiatry at Harvard Medical School from 1977 to 2004, so for the last 27 years of his life. He is also a Pulitzer Prize winner, so we can definitely say that he excelled in the academic world in the fields of medical psychology and was reaching the highest echelons of his craft or intellectual body of work in his respective field. The reason this is from significance is the fact that Mack started investigating the alien abduction phenomena openly while being the head of a Harvard department, so his assessment of the significance of such phenomena paired with seemingly strong curiosity took care of the process, which was leaving him in a special, quite delicate situation, regarding the fact that he was dragging the highest academic levels into contact with things like Little Green Man, etc. His contribution to ufology. In the early 1990s, he commenced a decade-plus psychological study of 200 men and women who reported recurrent alien encounter experiences. So this was his first official contact with the field of ufology, as he was conducting serious psychological studies of so-called abductees, so people involved in alien abductions, and was present at many active investigations of the, in the 90s, very prominent alien abduction phenomena. To name a few known ones, Betty and Barney Hill, Travis Walton, and the infamous Whitley Strieber case. but he was also present and involved in other UFO-related incidents like the Zimbabwe aerial school incident in 1994 and the Virginia UFO crash and alien contact case in Brazil in 1996. And there are a lot of videos showing him conversing with the involved individuals, so he was doing it openly on site, not behind the scenes like all these alleged whistleblowers or government near investigators. So he was proudly showing his intellectual curiosity on the subject, while at the same time being a very highly credited and rated psychologist with plenty of accolades. So the base assumption or unbased angle to say people aren't just crazy and potentially experiencing something extraordinary coming from him speaks a lot of value. The alien abduction phenomena. So let's talk about the alien abduction phenomena for a quick section. And even if it's just to honor at the time this video is on YouTube, 20th anniversary of his death, which was pretty much unintended at the point I was starting to work on this video. So alien abductions are one huge section of the whole UFO and alien field, with countless cases, especially since the 1950s to the early 2000s. But this is just a raw estimate. There are incidents which can be described as alien abductions reaching back to ancient times. Considering the nature of the actual interaction with any aliens or unknown intelligence, which manifests most of the times as humanoid beings, it has to be said that if we operate in a scenario where highly advanced beings or aliens are interacting with humans in a physical way or above, speaking of telepathy or altered mind states, I should say induced altered mind states through these aliens, it has to be considered that the whole perception of the human could be deeply manipulated in many possible ways. So basically saying that if the phenomena is somewhat real, most of the abductees or victims should not know about the actual abduction. Assuming the perfect alien abduction would leave no traces in the human mind. There are many cases, I will take the Whitley Strieber case for example, in which the abductee is seeking for answers and is conducting hypnotic regression, which in many cases opens a whole new stream of data coming in, considering the events in retrospective. But I have also to add that this can also cause false memories. Some people got the opinion, and I think it's also depending on the person who is conducting the hypnosis, that this procedure is not valuable at all and basically messes even more with the trauma and mind of the affected individual. I'm planning to do a long video on the phenomena of alien abductions in which I highlight important cases and in which I will conduct a deep dive and thought experiment on the whole subject, as well as the exploration of multiple possible angles involving possible man-made events in form of psyops or severe counterintelligence efforts a la Paul Benowitz, involving also the procedure of man-made mimicry in regards to such operations, and the potential attempt to form and control the alien narrative. As a whole, just to let you know about upcoming stuff on this channel. But let's go back to John Mack, and in particular to the time near the end of his life, the year 2004. So on Monday, September 27, 2004, while in London to lecture at the T.E. Lawrence Society-sponsored conference, Mack was killed by a drunk driver heading west on Totteridge Lane. He was 74 years old, and I made a segment about his death because due to his activity in the UFO field and his elite stance in academia, many people think he was killed with bad intention right away. And I don't know the ultimate truth regarding his death, but I want to point out a few things I've noticed. At first I want to highlight the fact that he was 74 years old at this point, which is just 4 years away from the general male life expectancy on this planet, and with that, speaking in general, it is coming physical and mental decline, and even if he was still sharp and brilliant, things like reactions, etc. will decline with certainty. And I know this sounds very generalizing, but the London traffic can be rough, and if we add a highly intoxicated driver, the chances are quite high for something like that to happen. Not taking away the possibility of a coordinated killing involving an easy case of plausible deniability. I want to also add that his coming out regarding the UFO research was more than 10 years earlier. Same with the release of his legendary book, Abductions, which came out in 1994, so 1 decade before his death. Of course, I can't know what really happened there, and nobody knows if he might came too close to some serious world-altering data at his high age and was removed in an organized operation. Tell me your thoughts in the comments, please.
When I first heard about this, I didn't believe it at all. Somebody says, "You want to meet Bud Hopkins? Who's he?" This was 2.5 years ago. "Oh, he's a man who believes in stories of people who've been taken onto spaceships." I thought he must be crazy, and the people he's working with must be. Not so at all. What I discovered was that he was talking about people who are completely sincere. They don't claim they've been taken by aliens anywhere. They're very reluctant to come forward with their stories. The stories that they were telling consistently as I began to meet with these people myself. There was nothing in my psychiatric work over 40 years that prepared me for the consistency of these stories, the fact that they're told by children as young as 2 years old with physical marks, cuts, scoop marks, and the rest, the association with UFOs, and that these are not people who are mentally ill. And there's nothing in my background that prepared me for this set of experiences.
As a psychiatrist, you are telling us they're not mentally ill. These are not delusions we're talking about.
Absolutely not. They're troubled people because, as you heard from Pat and Michael, these are very disturbing experiences, and they have a kind of post-traumatic quality to them. But it's not just post-traumatic, because this can happen again to them at any time. It's not like over once it's happened. And those experiences are disturbing. But the disturbing feelings, experiences they have, does in no way accounts for the experience. What is causing this? That's the mystery. I think this kind of debate, which is healthy in a way, but it's also preventing us from getting on with what these powerful experiences that are happening to so many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, what does this mean for this culture? A lot of the people who have these experiences, actually, when they face up to them and when they really go into it deeply, grow as human beings.
Do you know what it means?
I don't know what it means, but it certainly means something that could be maturing for us as a species if we faced up to it.
So, fact is, John Edward Mack has done admirable things for the field of ufology, putting his high prestige position and reputation at Harvard on the line to initiate credible research and studies about the abduction phenomena, which is one of the core elements of the whole UFO and alien subject matter. His work on circumstantial polarizing effects, while on the field, boots on the ground, investigating and conversing with witnesses and people involved, cannot be missed. We can call it an aura, which will hopefully be renewed by other credible and genuine curious people which are sticking their neck out even if they have a high and sensitive reputation in academia, etc., giving the whole UFO phenomena more credence and credibility, and therefore more strong minds for the cause. To wrap up this Lost Files episode, I want to mention some of Dr. Mack's work I can highly recommend. 2 things here, and I will leave links in the description for more of his speeches and other archive material. The first thing is his aforementioned book Abduction, Human Encounters with Aliens, and the second thing is the YouTube channel called John E. Mack, which is regularly uploading content about him, and I don't know who's operating the channel, but he or she does good work. He also got many appearances in TV shows, and most prevalent in UFO documentaries and investigations in the field. I will put links in the description. So we reached the end of the program, and all the best. LIBRA.
There's a curious poignancy. The aliens seem fascinated with our physicality, our sensuality, our sexuality. It's as if they long for a body. They want that they miss that. At the same time, this kind of non-egoic existence, this sort of understanding of the interconnected web of all life is something that they teach us. So there's a kind of exchange program of a sort, spiritually, of that nature. So I'll conclude with just a few sort of summary observations here, and then we'll hear from Andrea. I see this as a kind of awakening for every man, this phenomenon. But in the terms of our culture, it's a kind of reaching to us from this other dimension, from the beyond. I sometimes kiddingly say it's an outreach program from the cosmos to the consciously impaired. It's now this notion, as I mentioned earlier, of crossover is itself shattering, so that there's a double thing here. The crossover is in itself powerful in the sense that it reaches us with all of what we've been talking about, but the fact of crossover is also shattering of our consciousness.